Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Einar. I'm a software developer. I work for NRK, which is the public broadcaster in Norway. The title of my talk is Dearth of a Drafter. And I don't have much time, so I'll just get right to it. I think we have too many crafters in this industry. And I wrote a blog post and I did a talk at Kadinsky called Death of a Craftsman, where I talked about sort of my identity crisis as a software developer and why I think of myself now as more of a recovering crafter. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but one of the questions that I asked in the talk is this: what is the craft of software development, and who is the crafter? Because it seems to me that there are multiple crafts involved in software development. But when we talk about craft in a software context, it's always sort of code-centric. It's about what the programmer does or does not do, as if only programmers can be crafters. And I think that's wrong, and I think it's harming us as an industry. And I think there are, to sort of counterbalance that, I think there are not enough drafters in industry. I think there's too much focus on crafting code, and I want more focus on this thing I think of as drafting. So what is a drafter? When I say I want more drafters, I mean more people who are good at sort of externalizing mental models and making them explicit and inspectable. And people with those skills don't have to be programmers, but they obviously could be. But ideally, everyone who's working on software development is also, to some extent, a drafter. Because if we agree that and I'm supposing many here at DDD Europe will agree that software development is this sort of multidisciplinary cross-team effort, then collaborative modeling needs to be at the core of it, right? It needs to be a meeting of minds. And I think our success in doing software development is going to rely on our ability to compare and reconcile our mental models. And if we're going to hope to do that, they need to be made explicit. Right. And there's a wonderful paper from back in 1968 by J.C.R. Licklider that I really recommend reading. It's called The Computer as a Communication Device. And in that paper, Licklider defines communication precisely as the comparison of models, because we need sort of models to be able to communicate. Right. And so in that context, the drafter is a catalyst for communication, right? If a drafter is someone who is good at doing this externalization of mental models, both their own and those of others, then the drafter is in a good position to sort of help that communication along. And in a sense, writing software is easy, right? The problem is not writing software. The problem is to be able to keep writing, right? To be able to evolve and refine the product. And I think sort of software development as a game of Tetris, right? Tetris is a fast-paced game. It has this sort of unique ability that you can't really win it, but it's easy to lose. And if you lose your concentration, then you can lose very quickly, right? So the goal of Tetris is not really to win, but to play as long as possible. And I think the same is true for software. So it always starts well, right? Whether it's Tetris or software development. But then in a software context, you take on some assumption. Maybe you do it unwittingly. You're not even sure that you're doing it. Then maybe you have some indecision about your architecture or what to do next. You make a bet against the future. You have some ambiguities in your domain concepts. Maybe you have some misunderstanding between your teams. And if you top that up with a conflict of vision of where the software should go next, then it's quickly game over, right? And it's important to realize that this is not about factoring code artifacts in the right sense that so that that they fit together, because there is no right factoring of code when people's mental models are out of sync, and there are multiple conflicting mental models. Because if you look at the things that tend to cause problems for software over time, those are the sediments of communication problems, of organization dysfunction and broken models. So it's really about this facilitating communication. That's our only hope, right? Because communication is comparing mental models. And I'll say that personally, that's actually a huge disappointment for me, right? I didn't become a software developer because I love talking to people. I don't. But it has to be done, right? It's much better to be honest about it and to try to tackle it head on than to pretend that it isn't so, right? So to me, a drafter is someone who is actively seeking out these problems in order to be able to mitigate them, right? And if you're disappointed because you really wanted to be a crafter and you have that image in your head, rest assured that drafting actually is craft too, right? There's real skill involved, and we need to practice it to do better. Thank you.